as we go to the team now that set that regular season wins record after Sylvan Lake had just set it the year before. And what an impressive summer it was with a 46-win season. It seemed like you mentioned it earlier when we were talking about awards. They had multiple guys who could have been the MVP. They had multiple guys, at the top of different stat categories throughout the summer. It seemed like one week Ethan Menard was hitting 6 home runs, and then the next week Carter Beck was hitting 6 home runs, and then Ethan Murdoch would hit 6 home runs, and then they'd have all sorts of guys just blasting the ball all over the park. They had great pitching last year. But I mentioned it earlier, you kind of hinted at it. How much of that can we expect to carry over into this year?
Yeah, and they were a 46-win team last year, which is just phenomenal. And I was talking about the Dogs earlier and how they were coming off a three-peat run, and they didn't get a championship last year, and they're obviously not happy about that. Well, try setting a single season record for wins, and then you come into the playoffs without a championship. Joe Carnahan and company, the coach there, is not going to be happy with how things went, and they're going to be wanting more. The problem becomes Carter Beck, your star since day one of that team, is likely not back. He hasn't signed yet. It's his draft year. He's expected to go in the draft. If he were to sign, he'd only get a couple games in anyway. So you're not going to have him for the season, and that's a huge loss in the lineup, in the locker room, all those things. Ethan Menard, the reigning MVP, also not back. So you'll be counting on another Ethan Murdoch, outfielder with the team. And this is a great player too. He's just a phenomenal player. And infielder Nathan Houston is another one. Came over, from Moose Jaw last year, and just a great hitter. So, and local guys, Saskatchewan guys, those guys are going to be counted on. They're going to have to step up and do a little bit more. On the mound, Merrick Yeager, who's a day one guy with the club, he'll be back. Swingman Michael Saul will be back. In the bullpen, Tanner Hosick, Clay Mixon will be back. Those guys were huge. They're just phenomenal relievers last year. Tanner Hosick was in the running for reliever of the year. So I expect them to be, again, talking about the structure in terms of the coaching staff, in terms of the front office. I expect them to be competitive. A couple notes off the field as well. They're hosting that All-Star weekend in July. That's a huge deal. It's turning it from a one-day event into a weekend event. There's going to be a concert happening. There's going to be, my favorite, a bunting competition will be added to the home run derby. It's what everyone's wanted. We've been clamoring for years for the bunting competition. And to kind of spruce up the ballpark there, they've added 350 seats behind home plate. So they've taken some moves to improve the ballpark and improve the experience, and they're going to get to show off what they have there this summer. And I'm excited to go out there. And as we mentioned earlier, they're kicking off the season early on with the Rural Roots Classic. So excited to see them, bring some profile to all those events.
Yeah, it's going to be a great season for Saskatoon, involved in a lot of stuff. You mentioned the bunting competition. If you go on YouTube and search up, I think it's the Japanese League, they have a bunting competition, and it's the most electric thing I've ever seen. So I don't know. They could be onto something here.
Like darts.
Yeah, exactly. Just depends what kind of crowd you have. It is what you make it. It is what you make it. Joe, what are your thoughts on Saskatoon? Because as Ian mentioned, good amount of returning players. Is there some new guys? I'm not sure. We'll find out. But when you think of Saskatoon this year, is it their division to take again?
I've learned to never count out Joe Carnahan and his ability to find young talent that can fill holes. And yeah, there are a couple of pretty big holes to fill without Carter Beck and Ethan Menard, but there's one that I've been secretly cheering for, only because he might be one of the most energetic interviews I've ever done in the history, all 391 or 2 episodes of Alberta Dugout Stories podcast is concerned, is Aiden Marion. He is a hometown kid. He was an affiliate player with the squad last season. This past spring, suited up with Hutchinson Community College as a freshman. He hits 381 8 home runs, 46 RBI, 21 stolen bases in the leadoff position. Kind of feels a little George Springer-esque, if you ask me. And so, if there's a guy that I can see maybe filling some of that gap, if there's a guy who might quite enjoy getting the perks of home per se, it might be Aiden Marion. And Ian mentioned another name there too, is Merrick Yeager. Phenomenal. Also, he was a high schooler last year. A lot of people tend to forget that. He's pitching in some pretty big moments for the Berries, and he hadn't even suited up in a college game yet. So I'm really curious to see how he takes all that experience of not just pitching a full year with Saskatoon, but also pitching at Hutchinson with Aiden Marion, and turns that into a pretty good battery mates between Marion and Merrick Yeager. So I'm not too super concerned about the Saskatoon Berries in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, well, I agree with you there. It should be a very good summer there. And Ian, you mentioned it. They're continuously improving their ballpark. They're working on that whole facility. That program just continues to step it up year after year. So very excited to see everything. And hopefully I'll be able to get to the All-Star game in July and hang out and check out that bunting competition because I am stoked.